up in these texts. What we need to do is bring everything inward and be. We need to walk the walk, like we really need to just walk the walk on. And even these small deeds that we do of kindness and everything, they spread, the impact of them just goes right through the entire matrix. And, so never undervalue yourself. Actually bring yourself up, like not your ego, but just go inward to what you naturally are.
So at least for me, it was painful at the time to have my life shaken up. When I look back at it, I wouldn't change a single thing, I wouldn't change a single thing. And I'm super, super grateful that I even have the opportunity, that I got that chance to get rid of all that. It's something I'm thankful for every single day. And it's brought people like yourself and the people in the chat and all these wonderful, wonderful people. And these were people, I'm going to be all the way honest, like, in my former life, I didn't even know that these kind of people existed. I didn't know that there was really these kind of good people in the world. And, now it's all I surround myself with. It's all I communicate with. And it's, I can't get enough of it. It's, they're in my spirit family. I feel like I know these people, and I could never talk to you before. And I can tell you just really deep things that I probably wouldn't share with anybody else, and it's it's a really cool thing, and it's really awesome to be a
really
part of.
Easy to do, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
When those people around you don't have judgment when you're speaking the truth.
Yeah.
And that is so awesome. I know. John,
do you want to talk about that, or is that something you're kind of keeping under wraps?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not at all. So that's a question I get a lot of the time about this ascension. What's going to happen? Right. There is no one size fits all. This is not a religion. So that makes it a religion. There isn't a you must do this to ascend, or you must go there or be here. That does not exist. That is the wrong way of looking at this. There are a million ways to ascend. This is your game. Once you're awake, you have the spear of destiny. I'm sure you've heard this before.
Yes.
When you have the spear of destiny, you can create your own ascension in whatever way that you want.
Don't give it away. This is an ancient meditation. This is an ancient meditation that I am not the flesh. I am the energy, the consciousness, the being in the flesh. And this is proof. This is no fame. This is not religion. This is actual fact.
And you are free to project an experience of separation, a denial of your own connection, a struggle and a suffering, if you wish. You are free, dear ones, to create. Can you understand this? Because so many of you truly believe you cannot. And you fight and you struggle with all the resistance you believe exists in your mind, and all the restriction you believe exists in this world. You fight with yourselves, and you fight with others, and you fight with your future, and you fight with your past. And yet all the while you are free, truly free, in every present moment, to create exactly what you desire. Wake up.
Home is where the heart is. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You are home. You, the essence of who you are a traveler. Did you forget? You have no stationary external place of origin. You are from everywhere and everything. And I mean that in every sense. You haven't grasped that part of you just yet.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Hidden meanings. I had one guy tell me not so long ago, boy, that's off the wall. I said, that's it. That's what I'm talking about. The hidden meanings. That's off the wall. Meaning you're speaking in symbolic language. He shot his mouth off. Let's go shoot the bull. Boy, that's right on the nose. He's a pain in the neck. All these various things. He's 3 sheets to the wind. He kicked the bucket. That's symbolic language.
That these are also metaphorical explanations of positive and negative, right? Serpent or the caduceus, or, just like with all these things, like they're astrotheology, they're allegories, they're anagrams, they're for physical, metaphysical, collective, individual, right? Because there's multi-layers to our reality. We always want to put everything in a linear aspect to where we're like, okay, this is the truth. This is the only truth, the only way it can be, the only way I can look at it. But it's really, you got blinders on when you're looking at things that way. When you're rightly dividing things, I believe it really means to take each layer of truth and try to understand it. That way you can bring it back into the scope of the whole, right? This is that conscious expansion, to be able to have just like Marduk, to have the crown of eyes all the way around your head, right?
Right.
So
I learned some of my best lessons from some of the worst experiences, right? So don't be afraid to bring in those things and to look in those channels. You'll never learn if you're just looking at the light, and you'll be like a moth. When those lights turn out, you're gonna go to the fake light like a moth to the flame, and you're gonna freaking die, bro. So for real,
See them moths up there? They use stars to guide them, but they get distracted by the artificial light. It's too much for them. They get lost. You gotta open your eyes, man. Find that real light again. Or it's too late.
Und die Frau, die nichts gefunden hat? Zehn Menschen, die einen Elefanten aus 10 unterschiedlichen Richtungen betrachten, werden über seine Form und Beschaffenheit zu 10 unterschiedlichen Aussagen kommen. Ein einziger Mensch, der denselben Elefanten aus diesen 10 unterschiedlichen Perspektiven betrachtet, kann auch in der Lage sein, alle Beobachtungen zusammenzusetzen und daraus die einzig schlüssige Schlussfolgerung zu ziehen.
Once we open our eyes, we open our minds, we open our hearts. The walls of the prison, the walls of the bubble, the walls of the box, whatever you want to talk about, just fade away. And we become the true power that we really are. All of us. Yes, you, Ethel, on the checkout. You as well. All of us.
Well, religion does a lot of good. They help the poor people. There should be no poor people. Oh, they feed people that are hungry. There should be no hungry people. See? As long as there's a necessity of a religion to help poor people, then I want to know who is keeping those people poor and who is requiring those people to have to ask for it. There is plenty. Remember we were talking the other day? There's not enough money for people that are out of work. There's not enough money for people that have food. Yet when there's need for a war, all of a sudden there's billions of dollars to shoot missiles all over the place. That's Antichrist. Whether you call it, whether it's supported, you want to pray for the boys or pray for victory, that's Antichrist. There cannot be money by the billions. I don't mean just, how each one of those missiles to launch could feed an army.
What are you? Get out of this stuff, this crap that you're a worthless sinner. That's not what the Bible said. It's not what Jesus said. It's not the way you were created. It's what they have said in order to control everything that you do. Because if you feel worthless, then you can be controlled by them because they'll save you. Here, because you heard from Carl Jung that this thing called God is the seed inside of you waiting to be opened and to flower. You can be one with this universal consciousness which is in all people. But what happens? When you are consumed into the system or the state or religion, you lose this individuality. You are no longer the light of the world, right? What did Jesus say? Jesus said you can do better than he can. That's what he said. I mean, don't blame it. The man said that. That's what he said. He said, you can do better than him.
In this time, if this time isn't presenting itself for a reason, what would it be doing? It is speaking to you. It is time to wake up. No longer search for the light outside of yourself, because the Christ consciousness works through you. It's not a guy in the clouds, people. It's an energy. And how you choose to use that energy will determine how it serves you. We've been ignoring it for a very long time. Now it's time to come together.
Birth, death. During this line, events, circumstances, situations, things people say, things people do, whatever. Now you have a vertical line. Right at the top of this line, you have nirvana, you have enlightenment, you have Christ consciousness, Zen, whatever you want to call it. This line is going to give you all of the opportunities to go up this line. All of this, you can forgive, let go, surrender to, accept. You can use all the tools of spiritual psychology to climb up this. Or you go through life not forgiving, being stressed, being angry, being frustrated and worrying, until you finally get to the end, get to rest in peace, just when you need it. Or you use this line to go up this line. Free will and choice.
We do, as a collective, and I know you know this better than anybody, have the power to change everything.
Be the change you want to see.
We're in a system where we are the co-creators of reality, but we're being made to believe that we're not. And so therefore we're being coerced towards allowing a certain future to take place, even though people are not really aware of what they're allowing. And so individuals like us and others who are highly conscious that understand what their actions do to the world around them and what their thoughts do, they become like beacons in this storm of consciousness, because most are just freely giving up their ability to co-create. And like you said, we exist in a world where we have a very limited spectrum of this physical reality around us, and most of what's going on around us is non-physical in other dimensions and in other planes of reality that are beyond our comprehension.
And the drawing is of, angels and all this, but as you look at it from a distance, and I'll have a picture for this to show you shortly, it's the human brain. And right outside the front door of where that drawing is, there's a cement statue of a pine cone. And somebody knows what's going on. But that isn't revealed to the average person. It's just a statue of a pine. Why do you have a statue of a pine cone in the front door? And then a painting, which is obviously a symbolic painting of the human brain, because it's talking about the pineal gland of the brain. The very, very same thing here that we're discussing.
The human mind to evolve, because that's the whole process from birth. Knowledge is power. They don't want you to have knowledge at this point in time. That's why the New World Order is here. That's why they have all these fucking distractions to keep you from enlightening yourself. Self-enlightenment is the key.
I'm not scared of the enemy. Like, put them there right in front of me. I'd love to see them line up on my front lawn. Let's go. I would love it, but the hardest part is that it's such deception, mind deception. So basically, I could be talking to my son, I could be talking to my friend, I could be talking, and you see the mind deception that's being worked through the system, coming through them, and is how to deal with that. How do you deal with when you see those around you that you care about, that you love, being affected by, you know, these type of things. Probably, you know, one of the toughest parts of, I would call, the awakening journey, you know, is that, you know, when people don't really see what you see, and you try to explain it, but they attack you, and you have to learn ways not to attack back at them, because we've all done that, where we, you know, like, you know, snap back at them.
You know, in the old Yellow Brick Road, Wizard of Oz, they seem to be dealing with an all-powerful force. And when they looked behind the curtain, it was an old bloke who had no power at all.
Do you presume to criticize the great Oz? You ungrateful creatures think yourselves lucky that I'm giving you audience tomorrow instead of 20 years from now. Oh, the great Oz has spoken. Oh, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. The great Oz has spoken.
Who are you?
And this cult expresses its power by persuading the target population that it has power. We now have the chance to break the spell, to break the mind spell, and see behind the curtain. And what we'll find is something that's not powerful at all once we stop acquiescing to it.
So what does this mean? These entities seem to, they're almost like parasites. Paul Eno, who is a great researcher, American research in poltergeists and allied phenomena, and he calls them parasites. They seem to feed off our fear. They seem to feed off our energies.
They really in control. They can only control by their target population being in ignorance of that. Once we realize, their game is over.
Basta ulatio. Painatik. Sak. Down. Kak sak. Le tiob saya tiob le. Tawila. Sakilo. Belko anel. Lelela kuyokutikusta. Lelela zokan. Kaskuta. Uetan nakila kusta. Tenematen Jesus utiang wilatsi sakri. Hosta pokseka.
For some reason I'm having.
They're still in the level of ignorance, meaning what you do not know and what all of us do not know coalesces as an energetic form that moves and thinks also. And we're referring to that as they. It is our nemesis. Ignorance is the nemesis. Division is the nemesis in many cases to those who are ready to go beyond and to experience themselves. So truly, this is only an alarm. It's not something holding us back. It's something being a contrast to our experience. If we do not see where our purpose is, if we do not see what we need to do, then we have no existence. So that's the only true use that I have given them. Other than that, they get no power, especially from me. You cannot hold something back that is infinite unless you brainwash it, mind control it, and confuse it. And we know the purpose of someone doing that is to benefit themselves. So these questions can be answered with common sense. The reason why someone will want to hold you back or keep you away from your greatness is so that they can just appear great, so that they can just be on top.
Totally different. No different. Only different in your mind. You must unlearn what you have learned.
All right, I'll give it a try.
No. Try not. Do. Or do not. There is no try.
But don't be afraid. Your essence is immortal, and it's light. And it can take on another body if it wants to. And by the way, this is where I want to close this with. For anybody who's ever had an out-of-body experience, they know exactly what I'm saying because they've lived this, they've experienced it. They know their intellect and their core essence of their energy, call it your body or whatever it is, your soul. It exists outside of the meat host, and it's eternal. It's immortal. It's multidimensional, right? That's the truth. And millions of people know that, but they don't regularly talk about it because they don't want to be considered a wacko, you know? But that's the truth.
I'm an ordinary man, Jack. Meat and potatoes. I live in the real world. I'm not a big believer in magic. But this place is different. It's special. The others don't want to talk about it because it scares them. But we all know it. We all feel it. Is your white rabbit a hallucination? Probably. But what if everything that happened here happened for a reason?
That right now you're feeling a bit like Alice. Tumbling down the rabbit hole?
You could say that.
I can see it in your eyes. You have the look of a man who accepts what he sees because he is expecting to wake up. Ironically, this is not far from the truth. Do you believe in fate, Neil?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't like the idea that I'm not in control of my life.
I know exactly what you mean. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me.
Another way to govern our intellect and our ability to switch between the poles. So there's this thing that really bothers me with spirituality and New Age is that you always have to be love and light, positive. You can't look into the abyss, right? I'm a warrior, brother. Like if I see a fucking pedophile, I'm gonna smash him, right? Like that's why I'm here. What kind of man would I be if I came to this earth and I saw what was wrong and I did nothing about it because I'm like, oh, I figured it out. Now I'm going to a better place. Screw you guys. Love and light, brother. Peace be upon you.
I say this all the time. This is the New Age is a deception, and it's another way to divide you and keep you focused on one polarity, and that's the love and light.
Polarity.
Yes.
And if all you're staring at is the light, then our friend in the group, Ali, if you're watching this, brother, what up, man? You're the man. And he says this all the time. If you stare at the light, you'll be blind. But if you stare at the dark, you can't see. So it is a mix of the two. And I know, like, we're here to change things, or hopefully we are. And we find this gnosis out. We find these things out, hopefully, to do something about it.
Up from, which is why the Matrix was redesigned to this, the peak of your civilization. And I say your civilization because as soon as we started thinking for you, it really became our civilization, which is, of course, what this is all about.
Jungian psychology works in the idea of what's called the archetypes and the Platonic forms, the idea that this reality is some form of hallucination, it's some form of creation, which the Gnostics called, which Gnosticism talks about this. The movie The Matrix talks about this, you know, the idea that there is, and I think maybe the egregores, and maybe like Agent Smith even, maybe they're there to actually stop us understanding what's really happening, or some of them are here to facilitate. You're about to make a point?
Oh man, no, I'm just like, you just another mind expansion there. What if they are the Agent Smiths, like you said? Absolutely. There could be other ones that could be similar to the Oracle or Morpheus, but the agent, you know, trying to get people out of the Matrix, right? But yeah, that would hit the nail on the head.
What we're doing when we watch the Matrix trilogies, what you're supposed to be doing, I should say, is the realization behind the Matrix trilogies is the fact that we're all uniquely Neo. We're all Neo watching the Matrix, basically, in the trilogy. We're all Neo, the character who is aware in the beginning that something is wrong with the world and something is off, and he knows something greater than himself, but he can't put into words what it is. And so he's seeking something greater than himself. And that's where Morpheus comes in, where in our lives it would be DMT. We'd seek DMT, or we'd seek a guru or a teacher, somebody to help us, which is what Morpheus is. Morpheus is nothing but a guru. He's helping Neo find the light within himself, his true self. And that's why he starts off as Mr. Anderson. He's just Mr. Anderson, just a guy, just a worker, and he becomes Neo, the chosen one, through realization. But first you have to accept the taking of the red pill.
Mr. Anderson.
Run, Neo, run. What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
The way we raise other people's energy is by raising our own.
If you want to go further, if you want to ascend, if you want to wake up more, you have to be pushed more, you have to be tested more. You need the pressure in your face. Can you work through this? Can you see this? Can you integrate this? So the greater you can become is comparable to the intensity of the furnace that you can withstand.
I can't stand feeling like this.
Come here. Let me show you something. What do you suppose is in that cocoon, Charlie?
I don't know, a butterfly, I guess?
No, it's much more beautiful than that. That's a moth cocoon. It's ironic, butterflies get all the attention, but moths, they spin silk. They're stronger, they're faster.
That's wonderful, but...
You see this little hole? This moth's just about to emerge. It's in there right now, struggling. It's digging its way through the thick hide of the cocoon. Now, I could help it. Take my knife, gently widen the opening, and the moth would be free. But it would be too weak to survive. The struggle is nature's way of strengthening it.
From the God mind of I am. Follow the yellow brick road back home, just as Dorothy had to. What did she find? She had what she was looking for the whole time. Alice in Wonderland. She had what she was looking for the whole time. There was no white rabbit. And it's almost like this with a lot of movies where people create a dream world or end up dreaming only to awaken to realize, oh my God, I've had what I've been searching for the whole time. I am what I've been searching for the whole time. Meditation is not about doing. Meditation is not a practice of doing. It is a practice of being. We are a human being. Yet being is the hardest part for us to do, is to be.
The greatest
hobby and habit and practice you could have is becoming the watcher of the self. Because the more you watch, the more you practice, the more you inhabit being the watcher, the more you distance yourself from the personality, from the character. The more you distance yourself, the more you see that that's not who I am. That's not the reality. The reality is I'm the watcher. And who is the watcher? You're watching a dream. You're watching someone living a dream. So the more that you distance yourself, the more you detach from that dream, the more the other reality becomes apparent. And that other reality is the truth of who you are, the truth of who we all are. And that's the trick, that's the practice. Keep watching. Keep watching.
Om Shri Lakshmi Swaha Swaha Om Shri Lakshmi Swaha Om Shri Lakshmi Swaha
Ideas about yourself is falling apart, falling out. And all is left here is a sense of space. And still the feeling I am is in that space. Still the feeling I exist is in that space. This is the grand discovery. You are what you are seeking. That I am not what I have been taught I am. Because I can observe these qualities.
Just to be alive is an extraordinary mystery.
Yes.
To have the ability to love, to feel emotions, to understand beauty, to be moved by a symphony. All of these things we take for granted.
Why are we here? I think we're part of a greater wisdom than we will ever understand.
Changes in eternity one. It's only a choice between fear and love.
Memory. This is the ego, and then you're trapped in the experience. Therefore, what do we do in meditation? We watch all those type of memories and phenomena And by watching it, we disidentify and we start transcending. Now our energy state changes. So awareness that is timeless, that is not trapped in any type of condition, because memory is conditional, you see? So something that is timeless is entering. And this timeless intelligence, when it enters the avatar more consciously, starts transforming it just by presence. This is the key to the teaching of Eckhart Tolle. When you get that, you get that.
The living God, we are that living spirit. And because of our DNA, we have a certain resonance. We have a tuning fork that's made in the porous nature of our bones. Our bones have a porous nature, and we literally feel truth in that resonance. And that resonance, I think, comes from epigenetic wisdom through our ancestors.
You're really a very powerful being, but you don't realize when you come to Earth, you forget all of that. And we have access to this part all the time, but we ignore it. All the information I've written about, it comes through my clients. It doesn't come through me. One of the main lessons you come to Earth to learn is how to manipulate energy. Everything is energy.
As the proverb says, tomorrow never comes. There is no such thing as tomorrow. There never will be, because time is always now.
I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
I am that I am. Remove all confusion, beyond all illusion. Remember thyself.
Take it fast or take it slow. Against the wind or the way it blows. No matter where you go, just know where you came from. And oh, sail away. Find the reason to make a change. Oh, sail away. Find the freedom to ride the wave. Oh, surfs up, oh, surfs up.
Everything is possible in your life when you believe. When you believe, everything is possible. Everything is possible. Go and take it whatever way you want to do.
Out of the void came one voice, and the one became many. And the many became chaos, for they knew not their place within the whole symphony. Until, under the guiding principles of order, discipline, balance, measure, time, and harmony, the many remembered again their oneness.
Take my word, you've got to let go of the things you've heard and realize now that love comes first. Makes sense, the lines inside this motion blur.
My home is always where I am. My home is in my head. My home is what I think about. How I try to set my mind in thinking that I think. That is my home. My home is not a material home out somewhere out there. You know?